The city thrives on tourism, luring millions of visitors with the promise of glamour and gambling. In 1980, one of the biggest casinos in Vegas was in the MGM Grand Hotel. The gambling hall was longer than a football field, with 40 blackjack tables and 1,000 slot machines. But on the morning of November 21st, the casino's luck ran out.
In Las Vegas this morning, a huge fire is raging out of control at the MGM Grand Hotel. Many of the guests are still in their rooms and are calling and waving for help.
I looked up and I was just amazed. This huge building, which at that time was the largest hotel in Las Vegas, just smoke pouring out of windows and doors and out of the roof area.
The blaze was one of the worst hotel fires in U.S. history. 85 guests and employees died, and another 600 were injured. Ironically, the hotel had passed a fire inspection just 6 months earlier. What chain of events sparked this huge fire and turned the glittering casino into a smoldering cavern? It took teams of investigators and some of the top fire scientists in the country to solve the mystery of fire and smoke. Harvard University's Howard Emmons was one of the first scientists to study how fires spread through buildings. The MGM's insurance company asked Emmons to investigate the fire and help recoup their tremendous losses.
They wanted their $150 million back from somebody who was responsible for the fire.
Emmons began studying thousands of pages of eyewitness accounts. To pinpoint responsibility for the blaze, he needed to know how the fire started and spread.
Lay people are not good observers, especially if they're running for their life. And so you got many contradictions. But by reading them carefully, you could sort of piece together exactly what that fire did.
Witnesses said the fire began next to the casino in a small restaurant called the Deli.
It was started by the electrical connection to a little compressor that cooled a pie rack.
An employee passing through that area noticed it, ran to call for help. Then he ran to get a hose line and brought it back into the area, and he was going to fight the fire. And by then it's breaking out, starting to involve the ceiling area, and so they fled.
Like these wood chips, the Deli's wood fiber ceiling began to warm. As the wood grew hotter, it decomposed, releasing hot combustible gas. It is the gas released during a fire that burns.
The fire in the Deli became quite severe. The ceiling then radiated the booths. They got ignited and the fire became pretty furious. Within a matter of seconds, perhaps a minute, everything in the room is burning. And we've reached what the firemen call flashover.
Flashover is an event in the growth of a fire when the room in which the fire started becomes totally enveloped in flames. A small fire is gradually heating up the materials in the room at a growing pace, and there comes a time, only perhaps 2 minutes after the fire started, when all of the combustibles in that room have given off enough combustible gas to where those combustible gases ignite simultaneously, and the room becomes an inferno.
Emmons concluded that once the Deli flashed over, hot smoke and flame poured out the doorway and into the casino. Firefighter Bert Sweeney.
I was at Station 11 across the street from the MGM. Between 10 and a quarter after 7, we got the alarm. We geared up and responded.
Sweeney and 3 other men arrived in just 2 minutes. They walked through a side door into the casino.
We looked over, and there was a string of smoke that was probably about 2/3 to the height of the ceiling that had fanned out. And just as we got down to the casino level, the fireball broke out of the delicatessen with people scattering like flies.
Hot smoke and flames from the deli ignited the mirrored plastic on the casino ceiling. Waves of fire rolled through the cavernous room.
It was like a Hollywood slow motion special effect, the way it came out. The front perimeter of the ball was intense black smoke, and there were just little fingers of flame that would erupt out of it. They probably had 2 or 3 steps before the ball went over them.
In about 5 minutes, it raced down the ceiling of the casino, lit various pieces down below. Beautiful, but boy did they burn.
I was the last one out, and I looked down, and the entire end of the hotel was engulfed in flames. And it was like, wow, it's just absolutely incredible.
The fire destroyed the casino and killed 7 people there. What could have fueled the deadly blaze? Emmons knew the answers lay in the ashes of the deli, and he targeted 2 major suspects: the flammable polyurethane restaurant booths and the wood fiber ceiling tiles. With the aid of a computer simulation, Emmons investigated the 2 suspects. No one had ever used a computer to model an actual fire before. The problem was complex, with hundreds of variables. Emmons first needed to learn how quickly the restaurant booths and ceiling tiles would ignite, burn, and extinguish. Today, this type of information is gathered from all sorts of common materials at the Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Massachusetts. David Lucht directs the program.
Predicting how fires will behave in buildings is a very complex engineering problem, and we have to start with very small pieces of information of this size. This apparatus is called the cone calorimeter. It exposes a sample of combustible material like plastic or wood to a radiant heat source, and it gradually gets warmer and warmer until it ignites. Ignition. And what we're trying to determine is the material properties of each material, such as how much carbon monoxide it produces, carbon dioxide, smoke, and rate of heat release.
Emmons gathered similar burn data on the ceiling tiles and restaurant seats, then plugged the information into the computer. The simulated deli burned just like the real one.
Checked pretty well with what I had learned by reading all the depositions. So I said, okay, I guess the model's good enough to tell me something that really counts.
Emmons ran the simulation twice more, once without the polyurethane booths, once without the ceiling tiles. Soon, he had his answer. The computer model revealed that the ceiling tiles and seat cushions were both responsible for the flashover. But that wasn't all. Emmons discovered that the deli air conditioner had switched on during the fire. Had it fanned the flames? He ran the simulation again with the air conditioner turned off. The deli still flashed over. The air conditioner was not responsible for the inferno. So the computer program had successfully modeled the fire, but it only explained the deli. It wasn't sophisticated enough to model the fiery casino or the smoky high-rise.
I want to be able to solve the entire MGM problem, the whole hotel. But you need a mighty big computer if you're going to do that whole building.
The rest of the towering hotel was beyond the reach of Emmons' simulation. Unraveling that mystery would take another scientist and old-fashioned detective work. Seven people died when flames gutted the first-floor casino. But as firefighters evacuated the top floors of the MGM Grand Hotel, they found 65 more bodies. What killed these guests 20 floors above the flames?